ALCS World Series. Boy, that'd be nice. We're talking about how the White Sox get back to the postseason today here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. CHGO White Sox podcast coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, my producer, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. On today's show, we'll be talking about how the White Sox get back to the playoffs. If you're here for the first time, boy,
they are not going to the playoffs.
They're not going to the playoffs.
If you're here for the first time.
The White Sox did not make it to the playoffs this year. Breaking news. If you are new here for the first time, boy, you picked an episode to join us. Not much is happening in White Sox world. Hit that thumbs up button, though, if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Our guy, Goop, or our person, Goop, is here. Goop like soup, saying, hey, yo, excited to see Goop. If you have any thoughts, let us know about the White Sox in the chat. Today, I'm basically going to be talking about the ALCS, NLCS, Dodgers. The White Sox obviously can't be the Dodgers, but what can they learn from the Dodgers? What can they learn from Toronto? And what can they learn from Seattle? That's what I'm mainly talking about today. And then maybe I'll get into a little bit of hitting coach and pitching coach stuff. Jordan Lazowski did another follow-up to his pitching coach, his top 10 pitching coach candidates. He did top 10 hitting coach candidates, so I'll talk about some of them. And the person that I think will likely be the hitting coach, I think the call's coming from inside the house, at least for the hitting coach. I don't know if they're going to stray too far outside of that. However, we do have a new coach added to the White Sox. At JC_Sanner, very humbled to accept a coaching position with the at White Sox. I want to thank at CFB Baseball for giving me the opportunity to be such a part of an elite program and grow as a coach. There's no better JUCO in the country. Hashtag Patland is a very special place, and I will be forever grateful. And he's talking about the College of Central Florida Patriots. And JC Sanner just entered his second season with the College of Central Florida as the Patriots pitching coach. Before that, he was with Davidson as the baseball director of player development in 2023. And before coaching at Davidson, he spent a year in player development as a player development associate with the Phillies. And then in 2021, he was playing pro ball while working in player development with the Minnesota Twins organization. So, is this their new pitching coach? Obviously not. I don't know where JC will end up being, but at the end of the day, I'm really excited that the White Sox are picking from junior colleges, D2 baseball and D3 baseball and D2 football, D3 football, D2 basketball and D3 basketball is where like true coaching lives. If you want to find true sickos, that's where you're going to find like the best of the best. Danny Parkins wrote a book about coaching and about how there's a ton of next level basketball minds at the D2 level just waiting or have been waiting to get that opportunity to show and shine in the NBA. You can look at Kurt Signetti, who was at an FCS school in James Madison. They got the promotion to FBS, and now he's gone to Indiana and has increased his coaching salary from like $100K to $11 million in the span of like 15 years. I like the idea that they're poaching from junior colleges. So I don't know exactly what JC's position will be. I'm just glad it's not like a Nicky Delmonico situation. I know somebody was in here being like, Nicky Delmonico retired. What are we going to do? Like, it's okay. I don't know if Nicky was ever like this next level baseball mind. It seemed like his kind of enthusiasm for that might have petered out. I think that you got to go for the guys that just can't give it up. And, you know, Nicky's in that for a little bit, but like the guys that can't give it up, that weren't good enough, but like still feel like they can contribute to the game. Like that's the guy that you need to tap into. And I think that was Ryan Fuller. I think JC Sanner could be, you know, maybe, Ryan Fuller-ish. I don't know if he's going to be the, pitching coach guy, but some sort of player development at least follows his past track. So we'll see where J.C. Sander ends up, but welcome to the team. We're excited to see it. All right, so let's get into how the White Sox can maybe mirror the Dodgers, Mariners, or Blue Jays. Tonight in the ALCS, Game 7, Blue Jays take on the Mariners in Toronto. Vlad Guerrero has walked into Toronto Center, or Rogers Center, with a Austin Matthews Blue Jays jersey. Austin Matthews has a very, very significant history of losing in Game 7, so bad omen there for the Toronto Blue Jays. You got George Kirby going up against Shane Bieber. Kirby this year, at least in the postseason, 14 innings pitched, 7.07 ERA, 18 strikeouts, 17 hits allowed, 4 home runs. Bieber, 8 2/3, 10 Ks, 9 hits allowed, 1 homer, 4.15 ERA. Kirby, I think, was my preseason pick to win the AL Cy Young. And while he wasn't the best Mariner at all in the regular season, Gilbert was better than him, Wu was better than him. This is why I love the Mariners, is because they had horse after horse. Even Luis Castillo, he wasn't like Cincinnati Reds Luis Castillo, but I remember that guy just throwing 47 straight fastballs against the White Sox and it working. The fact that Kirby is like the third, fourth best pitcher, like, it's a real luxury. I know that he hasn't shown up and he got rocked in his first outing against Toronto, but I really think that he is a guy that can turn it on. He struck out last time he faced against the Dodgers. He struck out 10 in 5 innings. He had an outing against the Angels where he struck out 14. Looking at this matchup, I really feel like this is the Mariners' game to lose. I understand that Toronto has been getting an out-of-the-world or out-of-body performance from their $500 million player in Vlad Guerrero Jr., but I'm always going to take pitching over hitting, and I trust George Kirby's younger self to get through this over Shane Bieber's rickety body. Maybe Shane Bieber can dial it back, and Bieber has been pitching well, but if you're looking for a guy to give you 6 innings, I'll take Kirby over the guy that, Cleveland was unsure if he was even going to pitch this year in Shane Bieber. I think that this is going to be a very low-scoring game. If you look at the odds, totals at 7.5. I think I'll play the under Game 7s. I think this is going to be a tightly contested game, and I do think the pitching is going to be up for it. And the open, at least on the money line, was Seattle at -150. Now it's at +110. I like Seattle as underdogs. Again, I like Kirby more than I do Bieber. I understand the postseason numbers look gaudy, but if you do take out the bad outing against Toronto, Kirby's numbers don't look that bad. I really think that this is going to be Seattle's series to lose. I think it's obviously the Dodgers World Series to lose. And the one thing we are monitoring right now at CHGO, I do feel like this is maybe a little bit of an emergency situation. The Dodgers this postseason, we'll talk about them a little bit more later, but the Dodgers this postseason right now, heading into this World Series, have lost 1 game. They were 2-0 against the Reds. They were 3-1 against Philly, and they were 4-0 against Milwaukee. If they go 4-0 against whatever AL team it is, Toronto or Seattle, that 11-1 run by the 2005 White Sox could get threatened. The greatest postseason run of all time, our 2005 Chicago White Sox, could possibly be upended by the 2025 Dodgers. So before we get all cute being like, what can we steal from the Dodgers? What can we steal from the Mariners? What can we steal from the Blue Jays? Whether it's the Mariners or Blue Jays winning this series, I am rooting for the Blue Jays or Mariners. I need the Dodgers to lose a game. I cannot have the Dodgers, they win 4 games, 8, 3, that's 11 plus 2. I cannot have the Dodgers going 13-1. If they go 13-2, very, very impressive. You lost 2. It's a lot different than 1, right? Even if it goes to a 6-game series, you go 13-3, that's nothing. Congrats on your World Series. It's not 11-1. So I am rooting for the AL team to at least edge out the Dodgers in 2 games. It needs to happen for us. Goop in the chat is saying, I like Seattle a little bit more than Toronto, the 2 best in history, the 2005 White Sox and 2025 Dodgers. I unfortunately would probably give the upper hand to the 2025 Dodgers, not being negative in any way, but I think Ashley last week gave us the conversion that the 2005 White Sox in today's money is like $124 million payroll. Dodgers spent like, what, $400 million? Right? I mean, Shohei Ohtani in a single year, I'm not sure if it's, one of the back-ended one or the non-back-ended ones, but it's worth about, $40 million, which is like half of that $75 million payroll. What he did in Game 4 was absolutely absurd. When you see the reports that the Dodgers have already made like $700 million this year, just shows you that, like, when you're saying, hey, this is an absurd amount of money to play a player, the only reason that number doesn't go higher is because the only leverage the players have is there's no salary cap. Outside of that, if you had owners that could somewhat be competitive in these numbers, like you would see higher numbers. You would see possibly Soto making that $700 million number, or Tucker making that $500 million number. If there was more competition, I think that you'd see bigger numbers. I mean, even Toronto, while they didn't get Shohei Ohtani, they tried their best to put out a number that was close to that $700 million number, and they didn't end up getting Ohtani because they knew, and most of these teams knew, that they could easily make back their money on Shohei Ohtani by signing him. Just the Dodgers just could write 0 after 0 after 0 on their check. But utterly absurd what he did in Game 4. 10 strikeouts on the mound in 6 innings, hitting 3 home runs at the plate. I think 2 of them completely left the stadium. Absolutely absurd, that athlete. The way that he has turned baseball into like high-level chess thinkers. Like, you think you know baseball, and then you go up against that like Magnus guy, that like chess legend, right? And then he just like moves 2 pieces and you're done, right? Like, there's no way to stop him. You just hope that he has a bad day and your other 26 guys have career days, and that's how you beat Shohei Ohtani. But yeah, Ryan in the chat saying we need these billionaire owners to spend all of their all to spend on their MLB franchises. The more talent that is kept in baseball, the more fruitful that this is a sport for people to put their lives into, the better the athlete crop will be. And I think we figured out pitching. Just need better athletes to figure out the hitting side. All right. Are we close to a break? Let's take a break. We're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll get into the Dodgers, how they built this massive dynasty, how the White Sox can take some of what Andrew Friedman has done. We'll talk about the Blue Jays, how they have built their team of the ALCS. We'll talk about the Mariners, how they built their team in the ALCS, and we'll try to figure out what the White Sox can do to be like them. We'll do that after the break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. For new customers, sign up with our code CHGO365. When you bet $5 for the first time with Bet365, whether that bet of $5 wins or loses, you get $200 in bonus bets to bets on player props, futures, in-game wagerings, totals, spreads, whatever your heart desires. And since it's the NFL season, they're offering you on Monday nights 50% super boost profit token on same game parlays, and there's 2 Monday night games. You got the Texans taking on the Seahawks, and then you have, I think, the Buccaneers taking on the Lions, but I also have no idea. Yes, Sarah said yes. So there you go. You got 2 games to bet on tonight. Head over to Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Make your first bet of $5. Whether it wins or loses, you get $200 in bonus bets. Must be 21 plus if you or someone who has a gambling problem. Crisis counseling and referred services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Eye on the Ball, a company that was founded by CHGO diehards. We're very proud that they support us, and we're excited to let you know about their mission. Coaches, listen up. If you're looking for more athletes to train, Eye on the Ball is where you need to be. It's simple. You create your profile, upload your background check, and boom, you're in. Right now, they're running a promo. You get the first 6 months of Eye on the Ball for free. Then for $50 a month or for $500 for the whole year. Athletes of all ages and all sports can find you directly. And the best part is, Eye on the Ball doesn't mess with your schedules, your payments, or your business. You're in full control. We just connect you with athletes who are already looking for a coach like you. So if you're ready to grow your coaching business and reach more athletes, go check it out right now at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Don't wait. The athletes are already there looking for you. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about how to, make this team relevant again. Chris Getz's impossible task of making this a playoff team. He fixed them a little bit. Took them from 121 losses to 102 losses. That's progress. I don't know if it's fixing. Maybe it's progress.
Boom.
The leak is stopped. That's probably a better way to frame it. Chris LN in the chat saying, doubling the payroll to 150 million would be a great start. Sell. We're all for you. And hey, again, there's the agreement to sell that apparently is only going to take place in 2029. What if we just open that window to 2027? Sounds great to me. So I'm not against you, Chris. And doubling the payroll is part of that. But it's not exactly what the Dodgers have done. Andrew Friedman took over and left the Rays in 2014 and took over the Dodgers in 2015. The Dodgers before that were already getting to where they were. They were already having some consistency in success, but Friedman just kind of took it to a nuclear level. 2013 is when they first made the playoffs. They haven't missed the playoffs since. Since 2013, they've gone to the playoffs every single year. 2013, they go 92-70. In 2014, they go 94-68. 2015, 92-70. 2016, 91-71. 2017, 104-58. 2018, 92-71. 2019, 106-56. 2022, 53-17. 2021, 106-56. 2022, 111-51. 2023, 162. These numbers don't even make sense to me. You can win 100 games. 2024, 98 wins, 64 losses, and then this year, 93-69. There's going to be a part that we talk about the Mariners where Jerry Dipoto says that every single year they aim to have a win percentage of 54%. The Dodgers, at this point, have raised their bar because of their payroll, because of the consistency of talent on their team. They have been able to raise that consistency bar to pretty much a 58% win-loss record. If they could be around 93 wins, they know they'll get to the playoffs, and they know that they'll have enough talent where they should win the World Series. Again, they've gone to the playoffs since every year since 2013. They have 2 World Series to show for it. This could obviously be their third, and it would be back-to-back, but it hasn't gotten nuclear to the point until 2020, right, where they go World Series, NLCS, NLDS, DS, World Series, currently in the CS, or currently in the World Series. I guess, they go to the World Series in 17 and 18. But Friedman gave them not a floor, because they had their floor already, and their floor was playoffs. He gave them, division winners as the floor. Obviously, that's part of the payroll that is over $400 million. It's a part of the RSN. But Goop brings up the Dodgers are the smartest team in the league. It starts with Friedman increasing the analytics. It starts with Friedman increasing player development. What the Dodgers are able to do every single year is you can see 6 probably top 100 prospects that all have a Dodgers logo next to their name. They are consistently finding guys not only in the first round or second round or third round. They're finding guys, from the A's and turning them into Max Muncy, who has a 12-year career with the Dodgers. Right? It's not only being the smartest team in the league, it's not only being the most efficient team in the league, it's having every single edge there is. He has built a Death Star with no parsec? What the hell is the run? The Kessel run? Whatever. There's no port to shoot into to blow up the Death Star with the Dodgers. Maybe Ohtani gets hurt. Maybe the pitching isn't all that, but at the end of the day, you're going to see NLDS, NLCS, or WS next to their postseason results, because that's at least what Andrew Friedman has granted them. I think also, too, Friedman recognizes, money, right? That no one else can really touch what they have. And then when you see that John Heyman reports that they would love to pursue Kyle Tucker, they have the ability, with all the money that they have, to obviously sign Tucker to a $400 million deal, but then to likely be able to maneuver and be smart to get out of some of the deals that they currently have to probably even spend less on the team next year, having the $700 million contract in Ohtani and picking up Tucker, right? They're going to lose $17 million for just signing Conforto. Like, that's franchise record money, the $17 million. That's exactly what Andrew Benintendi made, $17.1 million. Like, they're able to sign what is franchise changing as like a just-in-case deal. They already had Ohtani for the outfield. They already had Pages for the outfield. They already had Teoscar Hernandez for the outfield. Let's sign Conforto in case. And I think Ohtani obviously was, DHing because he has the Tommy John he was coming off of. But Outman or whatever in right field. Like, they are able to spend money just to save their ass. The White Sox will never be at that level. There's not obviously much they can learn from the Dodgers, but increasing your analytics staff is not going to be painful. So there you go. TR saying Pedro Grifol over Craig Counsell in the chat. Insightful. What can we take away from the Blue Jays? I think the addition of, or at least not the addition, but the continuation of Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s career, I think, is a big one. I think belief from the city in a team is obviously like minor, but part of a team's success. I think when you see the moment that Vlad had after Game 6, where they force a Game 7, where he's just being taken in by the Toronto crowd, I think it keeps the player motivated, right? I think it keeps that player reminded of what they're working for. Not in a bad way. But Vlad, it was obviously a slow growth to get to this point where he is like truly a tank. He wasn't like consistent like this in 24, 23, 22. But I think now that he's gotten that security of this is where I'm going to be making my life, I think it gives that extra edge of motivation that those upper elite athletes need. And I think you're seeing what Vlad, having that extra edge, is doing in the playoffs. And Ashley brings up the point, they actually kept Vlad. Weirdly enough, when you have talent, you have to keep talent. I think the White Sox aren't in a place right now where they have to keep talent. I think they can be in a Brewer or a Ray situation where if you don't feel like your true window will open up until 2030 and you can flip a Shane Smith now to get a guy that will be a Shane Smith in 2030, it's like not the worst thing in the world. But like a Crochet, for example, Crochet's not going to sour for 10 years. If I had to put a bet on like 5 players to still be playing in 2035, Crochet's one of them. Soto's one of them. Vlad's one of them, right? Those are probably the 3 safest ones. Scooble will probably end up signing another big deal like that. Like, top 4 players that I know are going to play 10 more years, it's easily Crochet. I just think that if you have generational, if you have elite, you can't let them walk away. The Dodgers, kind of going back to that point, they're going to spend $400 million on Tucker because he's elite. Because that guy every single year gives you 5 WAR in right field. And then that allows you to cash in more and more on the Shohei Ohtani thing. Because that's obviously next level. No one else has a Shohei Ohtani. But to continue Shohei Ohtani getting all of this stage and all of this presence and all of this, limelight, you got to consistently be at those 95 wins. A player like Kyle Tucker grants you that. A player like Vlad Guerrero grants you that. Goop says Toronto teaches us that if we have a good generational player, we probably keep him. I don't think that our Vlad Guerrero is a Crochet. Hopefully it is a Colson. Hopefully it's a Rock Chalowski if they get the 1-1 pick in the 2026 draft. But you really cannot just let elite talent walk out. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that some people need to take away with Luis Robert Jr. too. Luis Robert Jr., although he has been incredibly frustrating, there's a video that I shared where it's just this guy saying if on a loop. Like if you scroll a TikTok feed, the first word of this guy's every single TikTok was if. And that's Luis Robert Jr.'s career. If. But a lot of those people, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, probably the Mariners now where they are with Cal Raleigh, when you have that elite upper echelon player that is the MVP, you could take chances on those ifs to get you to this point, right? Because you have that floor already granted by that superstar, and then those ifs are the ones that could probably push you over the edge, right? Toronto's not here if they don't have George Springer. Seattle's not here if they don't have the pitching that they do, but they're not here if they didn't pick up Eugenio Suarez, right? Dodgers aren't here if they don't have Shohei, but if they're not even fair to use. What if they don't have Freddie Freeman, the Hall of Famer? What if they don't have Mookie Betts, who moved from right field to shortstop? You know, Dodgers aren't really fun. But those teams need to kind of grant their ticket in. And just raising the floor can be done by elite talent, even if they have those ifs by them. The White Sox cannot just let, Luis Robert Jr. walk out the door if he has a $20 million name tag attached to it, because some team will pick up Luis Robert Jr. and Luis Robert Jr. will have that effect that Michael Kopech had, and he's like, oh, baseball is fun after all. And then he'll be really good at baseball. Luis Robert Jr. started to have fun at the end of the year. I want to see that happen again. So what we can learn from the White Sox, or at least from the Blue Jays in Toronto, is if we have elite talent, let's try to at least cash him in for something. If we have a Matt Kemp, let's cash him in for something. If I can't even think of who other Dodgers that they've traded. Besides the point. You need to be able to cash in. Ryan brings up, remember that the Angels had Trout and Ohtani. You could have generational talent, but you have to build around them. Yes, and Ohtani obviously wasn't Ohtani, what he currently is right now. But with Trout, it was Trout, right? And Ohtani came in like 17 and 18, but like we really never felt like Trout and Ohtani like combined to make a dominant force. But outside of that, it was really, if we have Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon, we're perfect. The Dodgers do a fantastic job of keeping that like base around them. The Blue Jays have started to do a little bit of that. They spent on Santander, and he was terrible, but thankfully they also spent on Springer, and he's been great. Bichette finally kind of bounced back. The Mariners are who I think the White Sox will likely build or base their model after, so we'll take a break, and I'll tell you about what the White Sox can learn from Jerry DiPauto and the White Sox after this break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We've got deals sweeter than candy this Halloween at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Come in today to shop the No Tricks, Just Treat sales event and drive home with 0% financing, $0 down with no payments until 2026 and 0 hidden fees on select new Chevrolet models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you'll be sure to find their perfect vehicle for you. And with one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you'll know you'll get a great deal, and they'll promise you with Ray's Price Promise, the price you see is the price you get, so you can shop confidently for your next car. Don't miss out on their new No Tricks, Just Treat sales event going on all month long for 0% financing, $0 down with no payments until 2026, and 0 hidden fees on select new Chevrolet models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the way to check out whether NBA or NHL, concerts in this beautiful city. Maybe you want to go to theater. Game Time is the way to get into whatever event you want to go to. Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll get 110% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. The best part about Game Time, too, I was able to do with White Sox games throughout the entire year. The price typically goes down the closer you get to a game. On Sunday, the Blackhawks won a thriller against the Ducks, and there was like 16,000 people there. You could probably get a fairly good price ticket on Game Time for an NHL game. So head over to Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the chat. Sarah is monitoring our comments section. Hit that thumbs up button. And make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Sarah is
here.
Wonderful. We're excited to have her here. All right, so let's get into the Seattle Mariners, who I think the White Sox, if they were to base their model off of any team that's currently in the postseason, I think it will be the Mariners. The Blue Jays have spent. They spent on Springer. They spent on Santander. They just spent $500 million on Vlad. They brought in Max Scherzer. They've brought in Chris Bassett. They've done a decent job of spending. I mean, even Kevin Gausman, it wasn't, I don't think, necessarily a free agent contract, but they've kept him around. They've done a good job of spending on that team and making sure that the Rogers Centers is full. Jerry Dipoto got here in a very different way. Seattle, although they did end up adding at the deadline with Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez, there was a want this offseason from a lot of Mariners fans to go out and spend on a free agent, especially after the end of the 2023 season. And Jerry Dipoto said this: if you go back and look, in a decade, those teams that win 54% of their team of the time always wind up in the postseason, and they more often than not wind up in the World Series. So there's your bigger picture process. Nobody wants to hear the goal this year is we're going to win 54% of the time, because sometimes 54% is one year you're going to win 60%, another year you're going to win 50%. It is what it is, but over time, that type of mindset gets you there. And while it is a frustrating mindset, it is a mindset. I don't know right now what the White Sox mindset is. There is some idea that the White Sox want to be a developmental hub. They want to be able to fix really anything that's going on with their players. If their players are worth a damn, if their players do have any athleticism to their selves, the White Sox should be able to fix them, ideally. Dipoto is similar, but the one thing that I want the White Sox to learn from Jerry Dipoto is how many trades he's made. Jerry Dipoto, and this is tracked by Jordan Schusterman of one half of Cespedes Barbecue, he has tracked every single trade that Jerry Dipoto has made since taking over as GM in 2015. Jerry Dipoto, since taking over, has made 190 trades. He has flipped the same player over and over again. He's acquired a player, then traded a player just to acquire that player back. If he feels he can even slightly improve his team's chance to win from 53.8% to 54%, he will do that. He tries to find every single edge out there, and that's what I would like the White Sox to do. They did a little bit of it. There's a ton of arms that they've brought in and just have flipped over the past year, and that's partly them being terrible, and they really haven't found much success to it yet, but I don't want them to give up. I want them to keep just flipping and flipping and flipping. You can find a Shane Smith in the Rule 5, great. You can find a Mike Vassell in the Rule 5, great. You can find a Curtis Mead in a trade for, Aaron Savale that you picked up for Vaughn, great. I'm not saying that Mead can be anything, but if you feel like you can find an edge in a trade, I would love for the White Sox to be over-aggressive. The White Sox cannot make it happen in free agency, so try to make it happen in the trades. If somebody is ditching somebody off their major league roster, there is a possibility that they were talented enough at least to make the major league roster, so why not kick the tires? I would love the White Sox to be ever-consuming of the transaction wire and trying to figure out, is our 40th man actually better than our current 40th man? Or is this guy currently better than the guy on the 40th man roster spot, right? And can we make that an upgrade? That's what I think the White Sox need to do. If, they could pick up a Miles Mastrobuoni for cash on June 14th for 2025 from the Cubs, and then have Miles Mastrobuoni play playoff games for them, okay. I don't think that is a route that I do want the White Sox to go down, because I was making fun of the Mariners for having Donovan Solano as their first baseman on opening day, and I was making fun of them that they had Miles Mastrobuoni on their actual roster for the entirety of 2025. But it worked out for them. If the White Sox had an idea of, this is our mindset that over 10 years we want to have a win percentage of 54%, I would love that long-term thinking to be on the south side, or any thinking really, where you could put it into terms like that, where you're trying to reach a certain threshold of success. I think that's the biggest thing that Jerry Dipoto has done. It hasn't been pretty, but he's put his head down and he's tried to build a winner any way that he can, any edge that he can find, and they've done a great job. I mean, like, those 3 starting pitchers are a dream. If you could have Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, and George Kirby as your 3 starters, like, sign me up. I don't know if that's going to be Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, but it could be. I don't know if the White Sox will ever make trades for Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, but if they have the right owner in Justin Ishbia, they could. It's really about them turning what they currently have into true viable major leaguers. If this team is not 72-90 like I'm currently predicting, and they're closer to, like, what would it be, 77-85, might be playing with fire. Because that's like another edge where you might not be spending the 150 that I think who said that in the chat earlier? Gary N? Doesn't matter. Chris N, doubling payroll to 150. I don't know if they're going to be doing that. It would be great. I'm not against it. But if you're not going to be doubling the payroll to 150 million, you have to be able to turn what you currently have into just better ball players. While we loved what Colson Montgomery did, is it repeatable, and can he actually get better? Can we turn those fly balls into more line drives? Might be less home runs, but it might be more batting average, doubles, extra base hits, etc. Can we turn Chase Mydroth into, a good defensive second baseman, into like a Nico Horner type, where not only is he a good defensive second baseman, he can be a really great average hitter. I think Nico led the National League in average this year, right? Or if it's not average for Chase, is it on base percentage, right? Can he lead or be top 10 in on base percentage for the Sox at second base? And if not, fingers crossed it's Rock Chalowski. Like, I think the one thing the Mariners have done a great job of is drafting. You look back at the 2018 draft, they get their ace Logan Gilbert in the first round, and in the third round they get their catcher Cal Raleigh, who might be the AL MVP. They went over slot to get Raleigh in the third round. He was one of like 34 players that were unsigned the last day of the draft, and the Mariners gave him all the money that they possibly could. But that draft is pretty much going to win them the pennant in 2025. If the White Sox can have those types of drafts where you're getting Noah Schultz's and Sam Antonacci's, and even if Antonacci's not necessarily like, a starter, but he's like their Miles Mastrobuoni, that could be a win for the Sox. If you're able to turn like a George Wolkow in the 7th, not great results so far, but he's got everything that you want in a pro athlete, that would be like a huge, huge win for them. They need to make real strides with what they have currently in-house to be what the Mariners are. And if they can just kind of push the players that they do have in-house by consistently just circulating, if you're not good enough, you might just get a cut off the team. I think having maybe that like garbage disposal at the bottom of the 40-man roster could be a good way to promote growth. So there's some mumbling for you, right? That made sense, I think. We'll see what happens with the Dodgers, whether they play the Mariners or the Blue Jays. I think it will be the Mariners. I just hope that when it comes down to the World Series, the Dodgers do not sweep, and the Dodgers at least can completely avoid going 13-1, so we don't have to hear about them being better than the 2005 White Sox. Can we just have one nice thing? What, this man's owned the team for 44 years, and we've had 1 year with playoff series wins, and it's 2005. Please don't take this away from me. Please, 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 please. Sarah's flashing the graph. Sox have 2 playoff appearances in the last 10 years. Do we have the graph I sent in Slack? Oh, it's okay. Here, I have one final thing, and it's payroll related, and it's payroll related to the playoff appearances. I completely forgot about this as well. You could just throw it up on the graph. This is from Reddit. This is from r/baseball. Let me make sure I'm crediting the person correctly. As you can see on the bottom, it's their 10-year payroll. On the right side, you see the Yankees and Dodgers over at I think that's 2.2 billion, 200 million, I think is 2.2 billion. So the Dodgers and Yankees over the past 9 years or so have spent $2.2 billion on their team, and they have gotten for that 10 playoff appearances if you're the Dodgers and 8 playoff appearances if you're the Yankees. Sorry, I'm really trying to find who made this, so I can give them proper credit. You can see on the left side, though, where the White Sox are. The only teams with no playoff appearances since 2016 are the Pirates and Angels. The Angels have spent well more than the White Sox have, and again, that goes to what Ryan said. I mean, you can even have Ohtani and Trout on the same team, but if you really don't know what you're doing besides that, you can't really just throw money at the problem. But the White Sox are with the Reds, Marlins, and A's and Pirates, where they're spending less than $1 billion on their team, and they're not getting the success that the Rays are getting. All those teams are under 4 playoff appearances. Sox are at 2, A's are at 3, Rays are at 6. Those are all the teams that are under $1 billion spent on their teams over the past, 10 years, 9 years. So it's not necessarily just throw money at it and it'll change. You could look at the Angels right there. You can even look at the Mariners and Giants, who are very smart baseball clubs. I mean, even the Tigers, very smart baseball clubs who have spent more money than the White Sox and are still at 2 playoff appearances. And this is from, it doesn't even say. Okay. All right.
Can I ask you a stupid question, Sean?
No stupid questions.
Looking at this graph, if I'm reading it right, is this saying that the Dodgers have been in the playoffs at once, or I guess obviously once for the last 10 years? They've been in the playoffs every year? They haven't missed?
They haven't missed the playoffs since 2012.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I said that earlier in the show.
Insane. Oh.
No, you're good. I'm just like, literally, it's absurd. Their worst season is like the White Sox best year.
It's so crazy. No, I'm a visual learner. I
This
like
is
seeing
from
it all up front.
_Kessel_runner. So, and it's a Cubs fan too. So you can see the Cubs spending over, $1.6 billion on their team and getting 5 playoff appearances from it, which is surprising too, because I feel like the Cubs really haven't been there for a bit. I know they obviously went to the playoffs this year, but I feel like before that they really haven't done that. Who took the blueberry lemonade? What are we talking about?
Earlier on the Bear show today, there was a whole segment about how Hogue brought in a Starbucks like blueberry lemonade energy drink last night, and this morning it was gone. It was in the fridge for him today, or he wanted it for today in the fridge. And so there's Steven, our head producer, put together a graph just figuring out who probably could have taken it.
I talked to Steven about this, and I think that the most incriminating thing is that Lance Briggs said, I know who did it, and I'm not saying anything. That leads me to believe
I know who did it too.
It's one of the football players. It's either Corey, Jerry, or Lance. Not blame. All of those guys can kick my ass too. So this is not, you guys didn't do anything, and I'll shut my mouth. But if Lance knows, I feel like that's a football brotherhood thing where he's not snitching on his brother. He also said snitches get stitches. So.
They were blaming the Hawks guys, and even I was like, there's no way, because they had their post-game show last night, and Joey he doesn't drink caffeine. He's like very known, like he doesn't drink caffeine. Mario is he's gluten free, so he can't drink that because there's gluten in it.
Really?
So I was like, there's like Mario was saying like he can't have those because of his gluten allergy. So I was like, okay, well he's next. And then Jay was telling me that he doesn't drink like fruity drinks like that. He does he wants like an RC Cola type of vibe.
Yeah, I don't think it's Jay.
And
I would say it's a football player.
Yeah, so.
I would say if you got Lance Briggs on a lie detector, we'd probably figure out if it was Lance, Corey, or Jerry. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to ask Lance Briggs to take a lie detector test.
I am not 100% sure on it, but I also think I know who it is, considering who we're narrowing down. So,
was it Emma?
No, it wasn't Emma. Right. Everyone was saying it was Emma.
Well, hey, could have been Emma. I don't know. Yeah, it's harmless work fun, but also we should install cameras and a security system to figure out who we should shame at the office for stealing Adam Hogue's drink. I'm gonna be honest. I love to see it. I'm sorry that Hogue did have that stolen from him, but it's funny.
It's very funny.
It's a good bit.
It's a great bit.
I'm glad that got stolen, and I'm not sorry your arm is broken.
What's funny is every single show since the Bears show this morning has now talked about this lemonade problem.
And this is what we needed to cap off the show. We're now at 45 minutes, and now we could successfully end the show that we've talked about how the White Sox can get back to the playoffs and Adam Hogue's blueberry lemonade. Appreciate everyone hanging out for us. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button, and we will see you tomorrow at 5:45 to talk more White Sox. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.